Yeah, everything should look good. Okay. Hi and welcome back. When you have a lot of time to think about things, you get several ideas of how to deal with issues in your own life. Just because of the silence, the boredom, you get really creative. I have had many of those times in the recent past months. And this is one of the topics that was actually an idea that turned into something I am implementing in my own life right now. It is the idea of reigniting the inner flames to smile again and feel like life is worth it. Okay. Let me take you back a bit so that you understand the background of what this is all about. You know when you're in trouble or a pinch and you tend to forget about all your skills, tactics, techniques or methods you had ever learned to deal with those issues at those crucial moments. People always tend to tell you, hey, keep a calm mind, because it is always the key step in the path of finding a solution within the chaos. I mean, it makes sense, because if you have a calm mind, you start to be able to structure your mental state and as your thoughts as well, which is not an easy fit, because when you're really stressed out and pissed off, it's the last thing on your mind. And that's where the mastery lies. Okay. But even though we know of this, and even though many people tell us to keep our calm, even the best of us, veterans at confrontations with difficulties, meet our matches succumbing to responsibilities, stress and weaknesses, leading to an overload and finally failure that follows thereafter, which is at times or mostly inevitable. Now, that is the exact reason we ought to have some supporters, friends, family, colleagues, loved ones to help us get through those tough times. But some of us are devoid of such bonds. Fear, neglection, seclusion, despair are all like siblings from the same parents. In my eyes, or from my understanding, it all comes down to states of our minds and hearts. And negative things can easily attach attack those and influence people with a weakened heart as well as mind. So that's why we have to try and watch out to protect those two quite well. They seem like viruses trying to hack their way into a system. And if you don't watch out, they multiply and become very potent to a point of having to shut down the whole system, causing diseases, illnesses, malfunctionings, from the psychological, mental to the physical, visible state of the body. And mind and matter are no longer in alignment, and you feel like life is not worth it, and you become a living zombie. Like in the video before, this is just like a continuation of that. So anyway, a heart and mind devoid of connections, companionship, compassion, and a sense of belonging tied to worthiness is a heart and mind that is easily destroyed under neglection, fear, despair, and seclusion. The state that allows for negativity to grow, going untamed and unused, is the source of all kinds of loneliness, which start to make your stability on all levels of your life to crumble, like very dry pillars that have been through some apocalyptic times. I, for one, have experienced what I'm talking about firsthand, and I'm sure many of you have out there, or might be finding yourselves on your way to experiencing the kind of stuff. I had family and loved ones around me, friends and colleagues, yet I had so much difficulty connecting. I felt so damn lonely and could only vent to the air in the woods, the darkness at night, all by myself in silence, and Mother Nature. I feel actually sorry for the trees and the plants and the animals that I yelled out to when I was out in the parks, taking a walk, getting some fresh air, which was actually a very good remedy, as in literally touching grass, being in nature, feeling the trees and that presence of insignificance when the rest of the world is turning around and rotating. That is what kind of always pulled me back to the ground and reinforced my waning stability. Yet the root cause, which was I myself, still remained. So I asked myself, why was my life the way it was? I mean, it was seemingly filled with wonderful humans, the potential for lots of encounters, yet in my reality, I found myself sinking into a pit. I could barely just deal with my responsibilities as a grown-up and just needed to be left alone after that. From the outside, as seen from someone out of myself, I had gone silent, turned into a recluse, and was changing for the worse. From the inside, I had so much to offer and share with no one to really get me or understand. That's when I went down memory lane. I was forced to go down memory lane by some inner calling. It was like my soul was like, okay, we are initiating the fail-safe reboot or something along those lines. Since I was no longer enjoying things like I used to, no longer engaging in anything I would partake in, no matter how invested I was, once it started, I rationalized it and it lost all its charm. And with that, all the color left and the spiciness of being alive faded and was gone. Everything turned pale and bland. Thus, I decided to do an experiment on myself and find out what the hell was happening, because I was just in my 30s and I couldn't just let it continue moving on at that pace. Who knows what I would be like if I was 40, or would I even ever live to get to 50 if I was starting to not be really engaged in life and wonder about things. I felt like something crucial was missing, and I used to have it, and it was starting to get out of reach. I had to do something about that. Analyzing what was the starting point of all that shit. Where were the differences between the old me, the current me, and what was the ideal me I wanted to be? Finding solutions to those questions would give me a clue as to where my view on life, with all the brilliance, color, and wonder, had gone off to. Yeah, the view I once had as a child, and the time, my relation to time that I had, where it felt more like a loving relative than some kind of sworn enemy or end boss. I wanted to get it back. So there I was, going down memory lane, looking at experiences I had had. The most impactful ones were, of course, the first ones to pop into my head, followed by those ones that were kind of not so impactful, but very subtle and had great lessons, till to the very not so important ones. I literally graded my experiences and checked for a kind of consistency within those experiences, what connected them in a positive way and what connected them in a negative way. If I found negative ones, which of course each and every one of us had. Yeah, I observed how I used to pay 100% attention to the most mundane things. Never would I even brush off the opinions of a seasoned fool in presence or preference to those of a renowned expert. To me, all was valid and enough for me to choose from, play around with, modify to my tastes, if useful, and then roll with it for the rest of my life. I was very in the zone, in the moment, and nonchalant. I had no worries. For example, watching a caterpillar or insects generally, observing insects, in this case a caterpillar, that's the one I really remember, with its rainbow colors, naturally breakdancing as it moved, created so much joy in those days as I was still young. I literally was laughing my ass off and having a fit of laughter, an outburst, because I found it so joyful to see this thing just wiggling around and dancing. I was like, this guy's life should really be fucking hilarious, because just the way he moves is already enough for me to, feel like my day was worth it. So yeah, I loved life as a kid. Yeah, where was I? The caterpillar breakdancing as it moved created so much joy in those days. Exactly. I would then go to bed after such an experience, filled with wonder, sleeping, dreaming about things like ice cream, and maybe having the wiggling caterpillar as a friend of mine who I could talk to. And then I would wake up again to another day filled with wonder, to observe other insects, check out butterflies. I even danced with snakes because I was copying the cats, before finding out that actually snakes were dangerous animals. I was just oblivious to all that stuff. My conclusion to all those experiences, and as to why I used to be like that, is as follows. I was only able to do so, obviously, because I was a child. I had little to no responsibilities apart from staying alive, breathing, doing some house chores, and maybe some little homework. I really hated homework and my teachers for those damn assignments, but they were necessary, and yeah, if I hadn't done them, I was in for some lecturing and maybe some beatings, because yeah, Africans. Anyway, apart from all that, I literally had nothing else on my mind, and I had no worries. I was just a free spirit in the literal sense of the words. In comparison to today, November 2024, the 15th of November 2024, 33 years of age, almost every waking moment is a buffet of multiple responsibilities, duties, tasks, and so on, like literally distractions, which I never had as I was a child. Everything was, for now, 100% focus, keep on doing it until I am satisfied and moving on to the next thing. To make it plain and simple, I would say it like this. Nowadays, we have phones, tablets, TVs, and computers, all kind of connected to the internet because we have the smart versions of all those devices. Then we have school, work, family, and friends, all bonds of different levels and intensity. Then we have responsibilities, duties, tasks, projects, and personal goals, all for the sake of purpose and ambition for a fulfilled life, given the kind of view we have on life and what we have set for ourselves as our future. That is a bit too much, and humans are being overwhelmed, in my point of view. As in, I can feel it myself. If I don't keep track of all that stuff, I am done for. This world will swallow me whole and spit me out without a second thought. because life is a hard game where you can't just respawn and reset just like in virtual games. From that conclusion, I also realized how simple the answer to all issues and the solution to the enrichment of my day-to-day life experience was, which was also the hard part about it. Easy to overlook and as slippery as a catfish or an eel to one's conscious self. Very important. Now, to deal with all of that, I would state it as follows, which might help. If I have too much of something, logically, it needs to be managed well so that it can be balanced out. Managing to me then comes to, it all boils down to flexibly overseeing, limiting, or raising the thing of concern to keep it in balance with other aspects of life. Preventing overstimulation, oversaturation, and overwhelm, thus creating space for a richness of all moments in life from then on. That would be good, right? Okay. Seeing as that is the case, I would deduct it to reduce it to minimizing or even annihilating all types of distractions after screening them and grading them into necessary distractions, somewhat important distractions, unnecessary distractions, and totally wasteful distractions. It would allow me to process more things in life with more depth due to having more energy and focus, leading to moments of a higher alertness, perception, and quality of life, which was my goal to begin with, as I started having this kind of thought chain. In short, I would be more present, connect easier, set priorities with more care and integrity, and have a more memorable, colorful life. How exactly? Let me break it down. Step by step. That's the simplest way to say it. I no longer watch TV. Netflix and such are mostly every once in a while, like let me say on weekends. I go to bed early, wake up early, naturally. Eat well, exercise and train my body. I have started meditating again, not yet regularly, but if being focused and in that altered state of mind also counts as meditation, then I am having more of those. It's just not that I am regularly sitting down and closing my eyes and going into a deeper state of consciousness and mindset. I also read books, write stories and scripts of thoughts about topics for videos like this one right now that you're watching, and also play games purposefully just for recreational time, not as a coping method or mechanism to run away from responsibilities. I also noticed myself starting to take the initiative and talk to family, and I am very attentive and alert during those moments. We go out for walks if possible, but I also go out alone regularly because I set myself a goal of something like 6,000 steps every day. And if I can't make it every day, I'm at least above 2,000 to 3,000 steps. I move around and I also exercise. So in addition to that, at least let me say 3 times a week, I got something going when it comes to the health of my body and the wealth in staying fit physically, up to the standards or even higher than the standards of my age. The most fulfilling part is working on projects that had been on my mind for a while, like my own book, By the way, you can check it out on Wattpad. I have the link down in the description. You can always go there to read some stories and maybe find some, let me say, how should I state it? Peculiar reads, as in good articles, stories, and fantasy-like recollections of dreams and experiences. And with some, there's info that you might have been searching for and never found, or you might find that punchline that helps you unlock something within yourself. Anyway, back to the topic. Ever since then, my time feels heavy with value and purpose. I enjoy the stillness when in focus, and I can clear my mind up. I feel happier, more alive, and the wonder and brilliance I would feel as a child is starting to return, literally. Listening to music is so much more fun, as well as watching scenes from series like Agatha All Along, which is actually a good sequel to WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2, that had me on my toes after the first 3 to 4 episodes. You know, you need some catching up to do and some memories to reignite to really understand the whole picture. And then it just clicks and then you're like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I hope this all helps you too. My lesson that I've taken out of this kind of thought chain is that it is the simplicity and minimalisticness of things and life that hold potential for real richness and beauty. This I innately knew as a child. Relearning and recultivating it now as a grown-up is one of my main tasks of life. Thanks for listening, like and subscribe, and that will be all. Tune in for the next video. Bye bye.